Well, she's in our virtual green room right now. I can't wait to introduce you to Dr. PJ McPhee. Wait till you hear her story and the power of her book. So we are thrilled to pieces that she's joined us on Author's Corner here on America Tonight with me, Kate Delaney. I had to write this down to make sure I was right. She's had 36 surgeries to date. Think about this. She was hit by a drunk driver, the things that she's gone through. My goodness. So now listen to the title of the book. I almost gave up until I realized giving up wasn't an option. Thank you so much for coming on. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you so much.
So you and I talked off the air and we had a great conversation about you just have to me this resilience, belief, and all of this you've poured into the book. And there are so many people, as you know, that have gone through whatever tough thing it is that they've had to tackle. And then they fall down the hill and they can't get back up. But you did it again and again and again and again. So tell us what led you to writing this book.
Originally, I wanted to, set to say, I have a feeding program, soup kitchen, food pantry, where we give out clothing. So for the last 20 years, I've really been a part of ministry in the community, doing it on my own. With the economy and everything, and now that I'm unemployed, I was saying, Lord, I really need an income, and I want the need to be met. So I thought about it, and I'm saying, okay, maybe if I write this book that I've been not wanting to write for so long, but I write a book, I have to come. It was like I was praying and say, you have gifts, you have talents, that use what's in your hand. So I wrote the book in hopes that I was going to sell 1 million copies to support the ministry, and it didn't happen. But I'm so glad because the book is so relatable. It was my testimonies, my hurts and my pains, endurance. And it has encouraged so many people that, don't let life issues get you down. You too can survive.
And you did survive, and you keep fighting it, which fighting the wars, I'll call it. And look how you've come out on the other side, and you still have that optimism. What happened? So you were sailing along, and then the accident happened?
I was just selling the lawn and the accident happened. Hit by a drunk driver. The first three surgeries were cervical. So I have three metal plate and 12 screws in my neck, which the doctor is saying that the last plate is right on my vocal cord. I would never speak again. Well, of course, that didn't happen. I have like a built-in microphone. My voice got stronger. And then everything just escalated from that. Another surgery with my knee, things that were happening, got infection with the iron, the hardware that was in my body. Everything just started happening, one incident after the other. My first book, I almost gave up. Has the first 22 surgeries. And then my second book, My Angels Can Drive, is from 23 until 36 now, because I actually had a stroke and my car drove to my sister's house and they were able to get me to the hospital. So over the years, growing up as a preacher's kid, I just felt so entitled. And that's why I got so weary. I'm like, Lord, why should I try? It's like I make one step and I go 2 steps backwards. What's happening? I could not figure out what was happening with my life. It was just unraveling.
And so as it's unraveling, it's like you said, this is the book you didn't really want to write. And then you ended up, it just poured out of you. You wrote it in 72 hours. Wow.
Yes. I,
So tell us about that process.
I woke up that night after I was trying to come up with the income for the book. And I just started to write something that just say, write, put your thoughts into, in writing. So I started journaling that night and I continued to write throughout the next day, continued throughout the night. And when I finished, I had a book. So I'm like, okay, the book was almost completed, but I had to go back and add and take away from it after reading it for the next. I put it down for like a few days and went back to it. And I realized I had a book that I almost gave up. And I said, you know what? There are a lot of people out there that need this motivation. They need the possibilities they're determined not to give up. Don't throw in the towel. And you can, if PJ can go through all that she went through, anybody can.
There you go. And you talk about that in the book. Of course, you can get the book on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Go get this book. You can help PJ, of course, and yourself. And you can get it for a song. You can get it for paperback. You can get it paperback, hardback, any way that you like to read it for sure. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, wherever great books are sold. Again, the name of the book, I almost gave up until I realized giving up wasn't an option. So, what do you tell us in this book that people can take away?
The takeaway is that the takeaway is about nurturing a mindset that inspires readers to embrace their own power, um, to promoting a positive outlook, trying to help others. Everyone wants to be a motivational speaker or an influencer, but it's nothing like reading true stories. You know, you read other stories, but there's no other story like my story. There's no one that's been given the wrong blood, in a blood transfusion, ended up in ICU. There's no one else that's been hit by a drunk driver. There's no one else that's been in rehab. It's just, when you read my story, you know it's personal. It only pertains to me, but how I overcame, you can as well.
With all those surgeries, because I always use the word resilience,
Yes.
um, it's like you're a pro at having to do this. How do you build yourself up mentally to be able to say, "Oh, here we go again," and you got to do something else?
And growing up as a PK, a preacher's kid, my inspirations came from my parenting. Of course, when you're going through it, of course, when you're a child, you say, I'm never going to church again. We went to church morning, noon, day, and night. When I become an adult, I'm never going to church again. But that didn't happen. And I felt entitled because my siblings, they were not Christians. They did just that. They went their own way. And I stayed and supported the church and the ministry. And I just felt so entitled. But then when I got, I heard the story about the man in the Bible that was at the pool. He was laying at the pool for 30 years. And all he had to do is just roll into the pool. And I was saying, looked like someone would have helped him, looked like could have gotten the energy to roll into that pool with the healing was at a particular time, and nothing happened. And I saw myself as that person laying at that pool and saying, you have self-pity. You feel, get up, roll yourself into the pool, be healed, and move forward. And that's what I did. I stopped having self-pities. I stopped having pity parties. And I stopped focusing on my inner strength and what I had gained over the years. I stopped looking in the rearview mirror because I realized as long as I was looking in that rearview mirror, I can only see the things that were behind me. So I had to start looking in front of me. And that's when I began to grasp hold to the power and the spirit of my Christianity and my hope that was built on my foundation. And that I gained so much strength. And so when I'm going through it, I'm like, Lord, I don't understand it. I really don't understand, but I trust you. I trust you with everything that I'm going through.
And you said it already. You weaved it into the conversation. If you can do it, other people can do it. And that's
Yeah.
what you said at the beginning of this. This is your book. But
Yeah.
it's worth revisiting this. What are the things that you hope people take away from you putting this book out into the world?
This book, through it all, there are moments that I actually laughed. There are moments that I cried. There are moments that I was on a mountain. There are moments when I was in valleys. I was up, I was down. But through it all, you can survive. All you have to do is just make up in your mind, saying, I'm not going to let this take there's endurance. There's perseverance, and it must come. You cannot have that in your atmosphere. You have to believe so deeply that it begins to shift how you carry yourself. That belief becomes your vibration, and that vibration speaks louder and louder, and your healing takes place. You don't manifest by just sitting in despair. You keep moving, like it's already happened. When I'm going through my surgery, I'm thinking it's all. It doesn't matter what I'm going through this surgery. I know that the outcome, and I'll be able to go and endure. You begin to celebrate. I started seeing myself walking through doors that I didn't even open, like this opportunity with you. Doors just starts to open once you make up your mind. You cannot give up. There's nothing in giving up. My dad has always told us, if we were allowed to put all of the world's problem in a bag, and something another problem dropped off to you, you'll be scrambling in that bag trying to get your problems back, because someone is always worse than you. So there's nothing. You have to stop trying to manipulate and predict and force the outcomes, and then step in, to that journey, and start allowing impatience to lead your decisions. Divine healing, it doesn't act in panic. A lot of times I was panicking. You cannot be panicking. You have to stop running around looking for closure, trying to understand, because there are some things that we would never understand. But you do have to have that faith. If you have a rope that you're holding on to, I tell anybody, tie a knot into that rope and just hold on with dear life, because there's help if you don't give up. There's nothing in give up. I didn't give up, and I never will.
Wow. Perfect place to end this. Dr. PJ McPhee, thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
To learn more about PJ, all roads lead to pjingrammcphee.com.